So I'm going to take a risk here and ask you to imagine something that you might have trouble with. I had trouble with it, but I want you to just go with it. I want you to imagine that we just found out that COVID is over. The vaccines are thoroughly wiping it out. Nobody else is going to get it. We're done. There's no looming horizon. Woo! Oops, sorry for the mic situation for that. Sorry, got carried away. All right, now that is the vibe. That is the vibe that the folks who came to the parade had. They knew that salvation from their worries and troubles was here. That's what Hosanna means. Save us. Save us. Oh, I just felt lighter imagining that. So we could imagine the parade. It would be spilling out on the streets. It would be on every street corner. People would be hugging each other. Strangers would be crying in each other's arms. It would be a raucous street party. And I hope you'll forgive me for leaning into that imagination. It might be hard to pull yourself back into our reality, but that is the kind of energy that that parade had. And I think we forget that sometimes when we kind of sing our Hosanna shyly, but y'all just jumped right into it. So I want to contrast that with the parade that was happening on the other side of town in Jerusalem. Every year during Passover, the Judean Roman governor entered Jerusalem for his annual Passover visit. And his arrival was timed to remind the Jewish people of their Roman occupation. So at the height of one of their most significant religious festivals, the Judean Roman governor entered. So imagine with me the Romans entering with a parade of soldiers with their metal breastplates glinting in the sun. The governor astride the largest, most intimidating stallion that could be found. This arrival, this parade happening on the opposite end of Jerusalem from Jesus' Palm Parade, was a visual panoply of imperial power. Cavalry on horses, foot soldiers, leather armor, helmets, weapons, banners. Eagles mounted on poles, sun glinting on metal and gold. I imagine terrified silence as the Roman ruler peers down at the crowds that have come to pay him homage. Now there's good silence, experience in prayer, resting your head on the shoulder of a loved one after a long, hard day, crawling into bed at night and having a moment. There's the silence of peace and connection. And then there's what I'm going to call for today's message, bad silence. That's hiding in a closet from an angry parent. Staying quiet after something off-color and offensive is said to avoid making waves. The silence of oppression and fear. And there's also an internal silence that I feel sometimes when I look ahead to the reality of COVID being here with us, to bracing myself for another wave, for the dismay and grief that I feel when I hear about a station full of refugees fleeing for their lives being bombed. There's a kind of silence that takes place in my heart when I sit with the grief of the world and I allow myself to forecast, and I wonder, when does this stop? When does this end? The parade happening on one side of town with the governor, bad silence. The Pharisees who shush the parade goers, the revelers, the joyful one, bad silence. The quenching of our own hope for a future that we want to live into, bad silence. But in this parade, after being shushed, Jesus tells the Pharisees and reminds us, your bad silence, your desire for control, your fear, your domination, your extinguishing of hope, it cannot overcome love. It cannot overcome joy, celebration. And I hear in that your internal silence, your questions of will this ever end? And why is this happening? And weariness at the violence in the world. It's not the end of the story. The holding back silence, the pushing down silence cannot hold back the world from rejoicing in love, from celebrating with hope. After 2 years of COVID, I have found that I have lost the ease of jubilation and delight that comes from the wild wavings of palms. I don't know if y'all noticed that after a while I realized I wasn't laughing the same way. There's not the same ease. There's not the same just pure delight of freedom. But this text reminds me that waving palms, their lightness, their airiness, this kind of jubilation, it's only one way to sing praise. Good silence, the kind of silence that is quiet and speaks in our heart, can also speak volumes. Rocks, in their weight, in their heft, in their grounding, can also remind us that joy will be here forever. That joy can speak into our lives and that love will carry on. I want you to take a moment with your stone, imagined or real, and feel its weight. Feel its coldness, its denseness. And I want to invite yourself to silence and to listen to your stone. Because even the stones carry the message when we find ourselves silenced, or when the grief of the world becomes so much that we are uncertain how to shout Hosanna. The stone might shout to us instead. So I invite you to take some time with your stone to listen to God. How is the sacred using this stone to speak into your life? What is the silent stillness saying to you? And inviting you to step into an expansive life. One that reminds us of a deeper joy, a deeper trust that anchors and sustains even as hosannas fade and palms dry out. We'll take just a few moments for this, and then when the time is up, I'll invite you into a hymn of reflection.